Hi, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
And we are people who love games. We've been going through our top 100 list. Today we're going to hit our top 33rd game. So we're in the top third of all our games. These, all top 100 are games that I really, really enjoy and games I do not wish to get rid of. But now we're reaching games that I absolutely adore. Alright, well, enough talking about how much we like the games. Let's take a look at the games. We'll do 5 of Melody's and 5 of mine.
Number 35, bicycle.
Bicycle is what else? A bicycle race, as you move around a track that you build, you can see we built a whole curve here. But instead of moving bicycles, well, you actually do move the bicycles, you'll be shooting the Z-ball. Now, the Z-ball has weights inside it, and when you shoot it, it doesn't actually always necessarily move as far as you want it to go because of those weights, it can be spun very easily and it can stop. Notice how it stops there. So it's not going to just roll all over the table, although you can make it roll over the table. It's all about skillful shooting, and you can set up a big track with a tunnel and a jump. So there's a lot of fun here. It's a racing game where you flick balls around a track.
I like this game because you're flicking a ball to move it, and it's a fun game to play because you're moving your bicycle around the track. And it's very much like pitch car of how you're flicking the disc, but here you're flicking a ball and moving a bicycle around instead of a car. And in the first few rounds, you can be unlucky. You keep on flicking it off the board and it gets annoying after a while. But then you find out you're the big winner, and it's just a fun game for kids especially to play. Number 35, Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Wagers is a party game, and it's newly entered the top 100 list, although possibly it should have been there longer. Because with Wits and Wagers, I said, that's a really good party game, but it's great as a game show. And it really is. When the Wits and Wagers people come, or if the Dice Tower people come, we've run Wits and Wagers game shows in the past, and we'll continue to do so. But I thought about it, well, that doesn't make it any less of a game than saying Werewolves less of a game, because I can fit 20 people into that one. So I have to put Wits and Wagers in my top 100. It's a terrific party game, but it is astoundingly good when you have 20, 30 people. Put them on teams, everyone is guessing a trivia question, and you're trying to be the closest to the answer without going over. But the fun factor is it is not guessing, because, well, you may or may not know, but it's then guessing who's the closest. Because you may pick an answer, but Bob over there, you may say, well, he knows all about the NASCAR, how many times certain drivers won, so I'm going to bid on his answer. And when you put that in a group dynamic and you're sitting there arguing and saying, I know this is the right answer, and bet this much on the answer, it really can be fun and entertaining. So if you have a group that you want to get together and run a party game for maybe 40 people, Wits and Wagers is not only a good game for that, but it's probably the best game for that.
Number 34, Evo.
Evo is your basic area control game where you're trying to have dinosaurs conquer as much of the board as possible. But what makes this game interesting is that your dinosaurs have to survive different things, and so as the game progresses, you can win auctions that will give you more movement by adding more legs to you, or making you more powerful in combat by giving you more horns, or, adding length to your tail, helping you go first in turn order. And there's just different ways. To me, this concept, which is in lots of different games, here was done very well because just adding to the picture helped out a lot. And, here's more fur that keeps you warm there's just different ideas, and you could customize your dinosaur basically any way you want it by winning auctions.
I like this game because you're putting stuff on your dinosaur and trying to conquer the land. That's a really cool thing. And the artwork is cool also. And just playing the game just makes me thrilled. Number 34, Shadows over Camelot.
Here we have a game that not only has been on my list for the last 6 years, but has stayed very solidly on the list. Shadows over Camelot was a cooperative game. When it first came out, there was very few cooperative games in existence. At that time, I only knew of maybe 2 others. Now there's piles and piles of them. But when I first played Shadows over Camelot, I was instantly hooked. It was just amazing how the aspect of the fact that there could be a traitor in the game really changed everything. I mean, the game has beautiful components, of course. It's Days of Wonder. We know that the game looks fantastic, but as you play with up to 8 people with the expansion, and knowing that one of you might be there trying to mess everything up, if you try to dissect Shadows over Camelot and take it apart and find out, exactly how great these mechanics are, they're really not that interesting by themselves. But when you add the theme and when you add people accusing one another of being the traitor throughout the whole game, it brings it to a whole new level. Shadows over Camelot, a great, great game.
Number 33, Forbidden Island.
In Forbidden Island, you have an island that's made up of many tiles, such as these. And players will be moving their pawns around the island. Each pawn stands for different characters, like we have a diver and a pilot and such. And players are collecting cards because they're trying to get these 4 special items off the island. What makes life difficult is that you'll be drawing cards as the turns go by that make parts of the island start sinking and then eventually sink completely. And the water level of the island will be rising as time goes by. So it's a cooperative game, and it's a bit of a race as you try to get off the island with all 4 of the treasures before the island sinks completely. Once you get all 4 treasures, you got to get to the helicopter pad, on the helicopter, and get out of there. It's very exciting. It's aimed at families, but I think pretty much anybody can enjoy it.
I like this game mostly because of its artwork. It was really nice, and the idea of island sinking was a really neat idea. And working together, I think that's, I like to play that way because I don't really like competing with others because it just makes me sad. Because you're trying to be the winner, who cares about the others, but when you're working together, you're all working together to win.
I would like to point out that Melody actually loves to compete with other people.
Number 33, Werewolf.
Werewolf is one of the few games that for some reason has the exact same position on my list as it did last year. This is the version that I prefer. This is Ted Bezier's Ultimate Werewolf, and really this game comes with a ton of cards and rolls, and you can play with up to 50 people, which isn't really a good idea anyway. Werewolf is one of those games that I introduce every year to my class. I introduce it in different settings, in different places, and every single time it is an absolute hit. Everybody is trying to figure out who the werewolves are. There's all these extra rolls and icing on the cake, but it depends on who runs it and all to really determine whether it's a good game or not. But this really belongs in my top 100. I know some people can't stand the group dynamic of this game, but for me, that is the dynamic. Werewolf, my favorite, played with teenagers as opposed to adults, but it's a great game with adults also. A fun party game, great to play anywhere. Werewolf.
Number 32, Kill Dr. Lucky.
Kill Dr. Lucky is the opposite of Clue. In Clue, you're trying to figure out who murdered the suspect. In Kill Dr. Lucky, you're trying to kill him. The way you do that is you have to somehow manage to be in the same room as Dr. Lucky and have no one else be able to see you. See? Can't do it. But if that happens, then you play a weapon and try to take him out with that weapon, while other players are going to try and play failure cards on you to stop you. If they stop you, you get spite tokens, which you can then use later on to help your murder attempts or to stop other people from theirs. But eventually people are going to run out of cards, and someone's going to catch him alone in a room. He moves anywhere he wants. I mean, he moves in a very certain pattern. You, on the other hand, can move around where you want. But you're trying to always be seeing the other players, and at the same time trying to get in that room alone with Dr. Lucky.
Kill Dr. Lucky is a fun game because you're moving around trying to kill the doctor, and it just gets me creeped out when somebody does kill him, and I'm like, "Ugh." And you're trying to see other people, but trying not to be seen yourself. So it's just a complicated game for some people, but easy to me.
Number 32, no thanks.
You might be surprised that such a small little card game with less than 40 cards and a bunch of red chips in it has been on my list for 5 years, but No Thanks fits the bill. No Thanks uses a very simple auction mechanic in which you turn over a card and you will get that card, which is worth points, unless you put a chip on the card. And then you don't have to take it. And we keep going around the table until finally someone says, I will take it. And then they get all the chips on that card also. If you run out of chips, you have to take a card in the middle. It's a very simple concept. But that and a few other little quirks in the rules just make No Thanks a very simple game. A game that I will carry with me pretty much everywhere because it's small, it's portable, fits in my pocket. It's easy to take around. Everyone likes it. It's understood on the very first setting. No Thanks. Don't give me the dumb joke about whether you're going to play it or not. No thanks. No, play it, buy it, own it now.
Number 31 is Jamaica.
In Jamaica, players are racing ships around this island, and they do so by each turn. One player rolls 2 dice and decides how they're going to put those dice on the middle of the board here. Then each player is going to play cards. For example, if I put this card here, that means I will go forward 4 spaces and I get 5 black cannon powder that I will put in the hold of my ship. The hold of your ship will hold treasure, it will hold powder, it will hold food that you'll need. As you move along, you'll fight other pirates trying to get their treasure. You'll land and try to find cool artifacts that can give you extra points, or maybe sometimes even be cursed and lose points. But at the same time, you're trying to get to the end because you get more points. At the end of the game, we add your score based on your finishing position, plus all the gold that you've collected as the trip goes by. The card artwork is fantastic, and it's just a fun game for the whole family to play.
I like this game because it feels like I have a little miniature ship moving around the map. Storing up a ship is cool, of how you put the treasure, food, and cannon stuff in. It's, the artwork is just really awesome, and if you put the cards all together, it makes a panorama, and I just like those cards.
Number 31, Steam.
This is Steam's second year on the list, although it doesn't really feel like it's new on the list because Steam is a reworking of Martin Wallace's original game, Age of Steam. Now, you will notice that Age of Steam is no longer in my top 100, while at one point it was in my top 10 even. That is not because I no longer like Age of Steam. I do. I just don't see no reason to play it anymore. You've already seen Railways of the World is in my top 100, and now Steam is, and both those games are kind of like a natural mutation of Railroad Tycoon. I'm sorry, of Age of Steam. Steam takes Age of Steam and is basically a very similar game, but makes it a little bit easier for newcomers. And you say, what, dumbing down a game? How can that make it better? Well, in this instance, it's because it's a little bit friendlier. Look, I'm all for the competition. I like the fact that this game, you're delivering goods back and forth, and you get up in other people's face and try to steal from them. But if you make one mistake in Age of Steam, you're out. And it can be a very tough, grueling game to the fact that when you're done, you almost feel like you worked rather than play a game. Steam brings a little bit more fun back into the game. It takes away from almost the silliness of the dice rolling mechanics, producing resources that were in the original game, and this gives you more control. I very much like it, which is why it's on my list where it is. Steam. One thing we should say is that if you want to know more about these games, we're giving you really short, bite-sized things about them. You can check it out on the internet. Go to our website, thedicetower.com, and I've done reviews on piles of these. I've done a lot of written reviews, but in the last several years I've done video reviews. In fact, Bicycle, you can see a full video review on that one. Forbidden Island, you can see reviews on those games, so go check out our website and see more about that. Well, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Tune into our next show for more Top 10 gaming goodness, or check out our website at www.thedicetower.com for more reviews and Top 10 lists. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.